Welcome to Greenhouse Grower to Grower, the podcast where we're shaping the future of floriculture, one conversation at a time. We talk with the growers, leaders, and innovators shaping tomorrow's greenhouse industry today. From market trends, next generation plants, and innovative production, to the challenges and breakthroughs redefining what it means to grow. I'm Brian Sparks, editor of Greenhouse Grower. Let's dig into what's next together. In October of 2025, Blooma Farms, a wholesale plant grower in Colorado, purchased 5 acres of greenhouses previously owned by Welby Gardens, a family operation that had been forced to close earlier in the year. I recently caught up with Jeremy Friedman, owner of Blooma Farms, to talk more about what the acquisition means for Blooma Farms and its customers, how it has expanded the company's liner offerings, and much more. Here's our conversation.
Blooma Farms has evolved over our 16 years of ownership. So just the quick history is my partner and I'm the definitely day-to-day operating owner. Partner's a little more behind the scenes, but super important. Um, and we started as a company called Brown's Greenhouse. And so we had a DBA name change about 5-6 years ago to Blooma Farms. Brown's Greenhouse was started in about the mid 80s. So we acquired an existing grower that was tapping out in 2010.
Okay.
And so we're about 16 years into it. And Blooma Farms is now on land that we own is 3 different parcels that adds up to about 14 acres of property.
Okay.
With about half of that 7+ acres under roof.
Okay.
We have some outdoor grow space and then all the other just stuff you got to keep on your yards and keep things moving, right?
Sure.
Main crops are pretty traditional bedding plant rotation of all things in bedding plants going into spring. A little bit of pot crop stuff in the winter. We force some bulbs for the Valentine's time, and then we have some contracts like Denver Garden and Home Show where we fill the convention center in February and
Okay.
try and make everything look like spring. But all pretty traditional annuals, perennials, and vegetables
Okay.
is our thing, um and typical fall blooming items, mums, and so forth, and the flowering cabbage, so forth, and then a pretty large poinsettia crop that we just finishing up harvesting as we speak.
Okay.
Customer base wise, when we started, it was almost exclusive, primarily built around the IGC, independent garden center markets, which I still say today that I kind of got lucky. I didn't come from this industry before that, and landing in one of the best IGC markets in the country. With that being said, it's also had some shrinkage there, and
Yeah.
that's certainly what's going on in here, and it's mostly we lose some of the garden centers. Well, back in the day, it was some things to weed or whatever it is, but now it's more about land value,
Sure.
and we're also a reason why Welby's not here.
Yeah.
We definitely have tapped into the landscape side of it. So IGC's and landscaper, no box store landscaper is now becoming a little heavier fold, and we'll kind of get into that as far as some of the business that Welby kind of held on to.
Okay.
But we're trying to pick up some of that.
All right, and we'll talk about that in a second. I do want to ask. You mentioned just a couple minutes ago that you're coming into this industry from outside the industry. What was your background prior to this?
From a college education business background,
Okay.
so I'd done a number of jobs outside of college that danced around marketing and different operational business, and then about 10 pretty hard years in the world of construction. So 2008, 2009 is when that business became very different. So we had a loan crisis, and got me thinking about doing something else. I was never married to construction, but I was building big fancy homes in Denver, as basically a general contractor. Took a different look at really a recession-proof model of a business, and that's what Brown's Greenhouse was. So that's a long story of how that all happened, but we jumped in with no hort experience, and so
Okay.
that's a pretty unique story out there. That of course it was big enough where we had a grow team, and there was a lot of synergies as far as managing labor, managing suppliers, vendors that crossed over from my construction experience.
Sure.
Um, and but had to learn quickly, and I was out there doing all the things to make sure we figured it out, from planting baskets myself and running soil lines and kinda doing all those things a little while back, but that's really evolved now, and our company has grown quite a bit.
Well, that's nice. And you
Yeah.
hear that too sometimes that background in other industries very much helps in cases like this, where I mean, you can take what you've learned there and, as opposed to if you've always been in this industry, that's great, but you don't always have that outside perspective. So,
Certainly support that concept, and it has helped, I think, in some ways, and just a different set of eyes that I still break out every once in a while. For sure.
sure.
That's right.
So you mentioned Welby Gardens there. So we know, they went out of business recently. So what made you decide then that the time was right to acquire the property that they have?
As far as that goes, I can't sit here and tell you we were looking for expansion. We've really had some good steady growth for we had, say 5% average growth for 10 years. So after 10 years, to 2020, we were, call it, 50% bigger than we were.
Sure.
And then the last 5 years has actually had stronger growth where we more than doubled that from 2020. So,
Okay.
so we were kind of moving on a good size. We've had some other competitors leave the market, Center Greenhouse, from the wholesale side,
Yeah.
Botany Lane. Some of our competitors at the wholesale side, Botany Lane's still in the market, but they've downsized significantly. And Welby's been downsizing. Them leaving the market completely was a big change in our regional market. They were definitely a big player.
Sure.
I met Al Jarace in my first months of getting into this business and always just looked up to the Dre's family as just a rock star family in this industry. And they definitely, and I continue to say that because I've learned a lot of things from them already and now more than ever because we're in a little different position.
Yeah.
Uh, so so when that announcement happened that they were closing their doors, that's just, we did share a lot of common customers, a little definitely I call it more friendly competition because there really was enough to go around for all of us
Yeah.
in the IGC side. We definitely served a lot of the same IGCs. They certainly had a different, a balance of much more landscape than us. We were way
Yeah.
heavier IGC, um, and I've learned a little bit about what the pluses of that are, and we're trying to figure that out. And so we recognize that there's an immediate, market share potential for a little more IGC, even though it's a shrinking segment. It's still a great part of our business,
Yeah.
and we have good relationships there and a possibility to capture possibly some of this landscape business that has really some amazing strong loyalty to Welby is what I've discovered too. Some of these
Yeah.
new customers we brought in have sent their order to Welby for decades, and so it was an opportunity that was all based on them making that pretty tough decision to completely shut their doors, not a nobody else acquiring them.
Yeah.
And so we knew, we've done expansion and we built new greenhouses and we just finished our last pretty major one in 2021. And it's not easy to build new greenhouses. We're right in the heart of the city here in Arvada. So I knew at that time, if we're gonna expand, now is a great time to do it, but we're also not gonna think about going out and building something new, and it's just
Yeah.
too cost prohibitive. It takes too long. You gotta grab that market share while it's here. There's definitely other players out there trying to grab that market share, right?
Right.
Um, so long story short, right when they announced it, I wasn't quite aware of this facility that we have now acquired from them because it was one of their smaller facilities and it's 6700 Washington Street. It's a 5 acre parcel with over 3 acres under one roof,
Okay.
but a very unique facility where they were doing a lot of their propagation for hardy starts. So
Yeah.
the fact that we could go in there, turnkey operation, not only with greenhouses, but all the infrastructure. They basically, the opportunity wasn't there for us to buy it right on that time. They weren't under contract with their next door neighbor,
Sure.
which is a truck company that was basically going to knock those greenhouses over and expand
Okay.
their business.
All right.
And that happened to fall through, Brian, in, the month of May when I wasn't doing anything else. Um,
Of
right.
course.
So, and, started thinking about all these things and the Draces called me and said, hey, they knew I was interested and they said if something fell through that they would call me. And so that happened. And I wasn't expecting that call because, I figured the neighbors, probably had that deal done who knows for how long, right?
Yeah.
So, the opportunity came about, we really started looking at, the fact that, again, these greenhouses, they said, "Well, we'll sell it to you." Well, we just walk away with the desks, the computers, all the equipment, and really the employees, right? Because all these employees were also losing their jobs.
Yeah.
And so we were able to, we have the same head grower over there. We have a lot of the same people we were able to bring in, and we're kind of mixing that up with our team to make sure it's kind of a blended collaboration that's happening here.
Oh, yeah.
And that we're so just an amazing opportunity that I can't say from a business standpoint that you'd ever honestly pretty dreamy, right?
Yeah.
We have market share. We have a lot of systems already in place, like trying to really take our company to this next level felt feasible because it's just additional capacity. We're not going to change really our offering too much, but we can go after some good new customers, but also kind of have some good systems down where we could feel like we can do it. It's a big move for a grower to, we're talking about a 60 to 70% growth in 1 year now,
Yeah.
from where
Okay.
we are today, which was already kind of been good. Is that making sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's great too that I know you said that you were able to keep most of the people employed, and then also the Durace family mentioned earlier, being able to bring them into the mix as well. It's something you don't always see, during a move like this. So that's really refreshing to see that you're able to maintain a lot of that. Um,
Absolutely.
you mentioned the Hardy Start liners, so I know you guys have also your own Rocky Mountain liner. So how are you kind of incorporating those together, and are there any differences between either of those programs that you'll have to work through?
Sure, sure. I mean, Rocky Mountain Liners was really started based on kind of some changes that Hardy Starts did 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
And we've been buying from Hardy Starts since I started, but also buying from other propagators. We've been propagating for ourselves since I started in the industry,
Okay.
and we were kind of building this and then just basically I think that at that point, Hardy Starts kind of went away from actually offering a little smaller, like a split 50. You had to buy plants by the hundreds from them.
Mhm.
And before that, about 5, 6 years ago, they were offering the split 50, which it honestly serves some of the smaller retail finishers, smaller growers in our region. So we said, hey, we can do that. We can come in, we can be a little definitely smaller offering. Or Hardy Starts offered literally everything A to Z under almost all the breeder programs that they took in.
Okay.
And we really have matched up with all the same breeders. We really focus on, offering the best genetics in the market. Um, but we were offering something that was a little more customer friendly to that, say, smaller medium grower. You can buy 50 of this, meaning you can have 10 varieties times 50 instead of only 5 times
Yeah.
100, if you will. And so we were experiencing good steady growth in that company. Tried to also just be a little more very customer focused, friendly. No surprises is our main thing. We don't want people open that box and be surprised of anything.
Sure.
And that's some of the things that I still struggled with not only Hardy Starts, but many liner producers out there. And so I wanted to make something a little better. And so that's really what it started from.
Okay.
And now, you know, with Hardy Starts leaving, that really opened a big hole. They had a lot of market share in young plant
Mhm.
in our market. Uh, uh, a partner with Tagawa's trucking. There's some unique things in our little region that happens in distributing young plants, and that kind of matches up with Tagawa.
Yeah.
Um, they were grower trucking their own stuff well outside the region into Montana. They had a big Texas market, so they definitely were dancing in things that we're not necessarily chasing all of that.
Okay.
What we are doing is we our program went from about 700 line items to almost double, and we had to make those moves very fast because this news came out in April, right when we all got back from cast. That's right when young plant producers are creating their 2026 catalog, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, oh gosh, so what are we gonna do? All these decisions being made basically in the heart of the busiest time of year too. So it's been a crazy year, Brian, for sure.
It's
So
funny because I mean, I talk to growers in this industry, and it's like these moves all, and again, there's never necessarily the right time, but they always seem to come like right in the middle of spring, or so it's like
good to choose that.
let's just jump into the fire at the busiest possible time. But yeah, I guess it puts you through everything, pretty quickly. So I said,
It does. I mean, I sit here today pretty thankful where we're at, but man, 6, 7 months of pretty crazy off season. That's absolutely true. And you sit back and look at what Hardy starts and Welby. There wasn't a mistake. They decided to close at the end of June, right? That is
right,
also,
yeah,
we know we're all cash flow as savvy as we can be at that time. So I get it, and it's all worked out well. I'm very thankful that I've always had a great relationship with the Draces, and it does mean something to be friendly to your competitors because you never know what
yeah,
something like this can happen, and it did. Uh, so back to the question. I mean, we evolved many lines. We still offer split 50, but we don't do it on everything. So we kind of picked up a hybrid a little bit of what Hardy Starts was doing and what we built Rocky Mountain Liners on.
sure,
And so it's a broader offering. We picked up a few unique things. Mostly it's all about listening to the brokers and listening to what they want. And that's how, I try and do everything is listening to our customers and make good business decisions from there on what we
yeah,
can do with our offering and how we put it out there.
okay,
So that's um really what we've done. We've always Rocky Mountain Letters has always strived to have unique things that aren't in Hardy Start's offering or not in the other guys' offerings down the road. And so
right,
we've done that with we do a lot of tissue culture production in house now and things that we've evolved on to pick up some unique things, but then definitely having the bread and butter items from all the main breeders
okay,
that we're able to offer.
yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you talked about a lot of the benefits already. Are there any other benefits that this move makes or provides for your customers that we haven't talked about?
From the Rocky Mountain Liners side, I mean, the big thing is up until this year, we had never been invited on that consolidated truck with Tagawa.
Yeah,
Well, now we are on it. So it's allowing customers in much different markets to tap into Rocky Mountain Liners. It goes
sure.
much further away. Their distribution is almost nationwide
Yeah,
and it's very powerful. So we're still tapping into that. We're sitting right now on much very good growth going into next year
mhm,
just because of that market share that was there to grab.
sure.
Now there's definitely been some other players that have come in pretty hot and heavy after that and so we're thankful for where we sit. We don't It's not about chasing everyone. We're not the cheapest guy in town. We want to offer a premium product, a premium service.
Sure.
That's, easier said than done in a few ways, but we're standing true to that, and I think we're in a good place, and we're very thankful for the growth that we've been able to grab from them
Okay.
leaving
What do you
leaving the market. Yep.
when you take a step back a little bit, obviously this is a lot to account for as you head into next year, but anything else new that you guys are looking at, whether it's next year or beyond for Blooma Farms?
Well, for Blue Farms and Rocky Mountain Liners, we certainly do. We have, I'd say, it's first about, we just took on a lot of new customers, new market share in young plant and finish.
Yeah.
So, A, let's make sure we're tightening our systems. Let's manage it. Let's execute it well so that we're in that right position to get the repeat business, right? And just keep
Yeah.
building on that. Uh, we have some other things that are certainly kicking up on the business development side. I don't know how much detail I want going out there on
Yeah,
that, to be totally honest with you.
sure.
But a lot of exciting things coming, and
Okay.
it's going to be really along the same lines of what can we offer out there that differentiates from guys maybe in our region that are already out there? What can we do differently, and where how can we operate in a better either format or better level of service?
Okay. Okay. When you take a step back, and again, this also ties into your coming into this industry from other industries. Um, as you look ahead, what excites you the most about this industry in general and where it's headed in the future?
I guess told you about my background construction. I think 2020 was right. 2010 was the loan crisis. 2020 was a pandemic, and at that point, took that step back and never could feel more happy about the industry I
Yeah.
fell into, honestly. And I'd say it still is today. It's the innovation that happens. It's the new things that are coming. I'm very much about that. I love within this industry, you could take some of that innovation and you could try it at a pretty low risk, right?
Mhm.
So a new plant comes out, we can dabble in it. So we try to stay innovative in that way to keep finding new things. I think otherwise it's what really hit home to me is what we do really takes people away from the things that it's about being on screens and being Mars. Let's go outside and let's put our hands in the soil, right? And when the media is so into us and today's world, 2020's world, it's been that. It's been like a place where you can just get too tied up into our screens. And so for kids and adults, right? We all need less screen time, in my opinion. So I'm just happy to be in an industry that takes people away from that when they're truly engaged in it. And so that's, I guess, what excites me about the industry.
Thank you for joining us. You can learn more about this and other topics at greenhousegrower.com, and you can also follow Greenhouse Grower on LinkedIn. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And please leave us a rating or review as it helps other listeners find the show. The Greenhouse Grower to Grower podcast is produced by the team at Meister Media Worldwide. I'm Brian Sparks, editor of Greenhouse Grower.